Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use stock news headlines to backtest a trading strategy. For the news source, I'm going to be using Finviz since they have a section where they aggregate news headlines for a particular stock, which comes from different sources. In this particular example, I'm going to be focusing on news headlines for Home Depot that range from the end of March of 2023 to May 12 of 2023. I will then pass those news headlines into a wrapper that returns an overall score depending on the words used in the news headline. And so this is what the scores look like through time. Since the data has timestamps, I can go ahead and plot it against the stock price intraday. And if we take a look at the next plot, this is what the sentiment looks like alongside the stock. To create a trading strategy, I'm going to add the rolling percentiles to the score here so we can get overbought and oversold levels. So I'm going to create an upper band and a lower band. So we'll take a look at the plot with the percentiles. Now that we have calculated that, the rules are going to be short when the new sentiment is above this red line and buy the stock whenever it's below. And we're going to close out our positions at the midpoint of these bands. So now if we take a look at the results for that, we see that the strategy returned 16.63 points versus 650 if we were just to buy and hold the stock. This gives the strategy a return of 5.7% versus 2.28 if we were just to buy and hold. The first plot returns the total points throughout the time period, which is 1663, and then the plot underneath is just the total return of the strategy over time, which is very close to 6%. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the code. Alright, so here are some of the packages we're going to require. The code that was commented out just reads in my intraday data for the stock. And in the second block, I go ahead and read my news data, and I'll go ahead and read that in so you know what the data looks like. I just have a timestamp, the news headline, and then the ticker. So from here, I need to format the news headlines a little bit. I'm going to remove the source. So I'm going to remove everything that's in parentheses, which also includes the stock ticker, so that we get a more accurate measurement. We're going to go ahead and use some rejects for that. I want to focus on Home Depot. So here I just return the ticker and subset my news data for only that ticker. I'm going to remove everything that's in parentheses so that the source doesn't get included in the sentiment score. I'll then return each title into a proper case and then remove any duplicates. Now to generate the sentiment scores, I'm going to use sentiment R and just pass in the news headlines. Now some news headlines do have multiple sentences, so I'm going to average the sentences out and then reassign our news scores. Now that we have that formatted, I'm going to go ahead and plot the series. So you should get a similar looking chart. Now that we have this converted into an XCS object, I can go ahead and add the stock data and plot the score against the stock price. So again, I'm using 1 minute data, and I'm going to fill in the score to fill in the gaps between each headline. So that's why you kind of see these flat lines along the way. Now the next step is to calculate the percentiles. So I'm going to be using roll apply R, pass in the sentiment score, and I'm using a probability of 20 so that the upper band is 80% and the lower will just be 20, and the midpoint is just the average of the two. And then we'll go ahead and plot the series as well. Now the next step is to create the trading rules. So again, short when the score is above the upper band, buy it when it's below, and then we're just going to go ahead and close our positions at the midline. So we need to assign a signal line, which will just consist of a -1 for our short position, a +1 will indicate a long position, and a 0 will just mean we close out of our positions. After we assign the rules, I'm just going to use NALOCF to fill in any NAs in the signal. I'm also going to shift it or lag our signal to properly calculate our returns. After we assign our signal, we can go ahead and calculate the number of points and returns. And then finally, just plot the number of points and our returns through time. So this will generate a 2x1 plot. So with that, guys, this concludes the video. If you're a Patreon member, I'll go ahead and provide the news headlines up to May 12 so that you can check different tickers. If you would like to start saving this data, I'll go ahead and recommend some tutorials I created to start saving news headlines so you can run this report going forward. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find the script. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.